Hey y'all, welcome to Culture Cult. My name's Marie. I am the host of the show. If you are a reoccurring listener, hell yeah, welcome back. And if you are new to the show, essentially, this is a show where we are on a mission to learn about every country in the world and every culture in the world so that we can all become less ignorant. Now, I usually do this by telling you about a country and a really, really crazy story from that country. But we are on a season break. So if you want to check out any of those episodes, just look below. This is a summer season called Celebrating Black Culture because I freaking love Black culture. I want to highlight it. It's one of my favorite cultures, and we have friends coming on from the Caribbean, from New York, from the South. We are just diving deep into the beauty and magic and diversity of Black culture. So today we have on a very special guest, a woman who wanted to do forensics for the FBI, but then did a whole switch up and created a badass skincare brand called Silken. Then she reached out to me to produce her podcast, Behind the Silk. Yes, we are having on my client and colleague, Ericka Nicole. Ericka is just one of those people that impresses me the more we work together. I am becoming more spiritual, and I do believe that God, Allah, whoever you want to say is in the sky out there, has brought us together for a reason because we are both go-getting bad bitches, and I think we are going to rock the world with her skincare brand and with her podcast. And she is extremely ambitious. She's on the way to become a millionaire entrepreneur. And honestly, I think she could be president if she tried. So I'm really, really excited for y'all to meet someone very special in my life, a client of mine. And yeah, let's get into the episode. So let's start off with some fun pop questions. I'm going to hit heavy. I'm going to hit deep in the beginning. So,
ooh, I love it deep.
Yeah. So this is, we're talking like celebrating Black culture. You are a successful, very high achieving, high ambitious person. So who in the Black community is your inspiration? Is there someone out there you look to in the business or maybe celebrity?
Yeah, I think an influential figure that's like really had an impact on my life is Maya Angelou. I actually had the privilege of hearing her speak when I was in high school. I went to a private high school and we actually shared a campus with Pace University. And she came and she gave a speech at Pace University. And I mean, first off, her story is incredible. She's an incredible writer, poet, speaker, and just the way that she commands a presence when she walks into the room was something that I will never forget. Before she came out, there was all this chatter, like common kiki in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And no introduction, just walked out into the stage and sat down. And the room was just silent. And I'm like, oh, that is a bomb-ass woman right there. Like to command such attention with just your presence, that's a moment I will never forget. And that is someone that I definitely gain inspiration from.
Damn. Teachers can sometimes do that, but like a whole room,
like an auditorium of like 400 people, just you could hear a pin drop and it's just like, whoa, because you're just anticipating what she's gonna say. I'm like, that is a different type of presence.
That is.
And that's like a presence I would love to embody.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you give presidential vibes. So you're there.
At this point, I might as well run. Based on our current candidates. I might as well campaign.
I would totally vote for you be the first woman president. So absolutely. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next question is more like fun, light and easy. If you were a cocktail, what would you be? Not your favorite cocktail. What cocktail embodies you?
I would say a skinny margarita. Yes, because it's a creeper. It's a little spicy, kind of creeps up on you. And it's not too much. Like I feel like I'm like a calm and kind of just sneak my way up on you.
Yes.
And it's low in calories. And I love that.
I think that's so true. I feel like you do have a presence of very calm, but people like will listen to you. But then also, yeah, it's like as you like warm up, it's like, oh my God, wait, I'm having fun. Oh my God, we're vibing. Oh my God, I'm drunk.
There's layers to this,
Layers. Yes. People think it's like a little lunch drink. Next thing you know, you're fucked up at the office.
On the floor, sprawled out. Almost unemployed.
I love it. Okay, yay. So my last question, going back to deep, what is a trait that you have, but you wish other people had?
Emotional intelligence. I don't think I realized how many people do not have emotional intelligence until like after my mid-20s, like post 25. Because like I think once you're in your early 20s, you're like, fuck it, like no hard feelings. It is what it is. But then as you get older, you're like developing and maturing and adulting. And you're like, wait, the things that I say affect people. My actions have an impact on people. And it's not just the things that I say, it's how people perceive what I say. Like I have a low-key brand to protect, like a personal brand to protect. So I need to be like, more conscious. And I think I've gotten better at that, having an understanding of my words and my actions, but I don't think a lot of other people have that skill
How have you been practicing that?
by talking less and listening more.
Oh,
You learn so much about people when you just listen. And I've
mm,
learned that too. So kind of just sitting back, let people who are forward kind of lead the conversation or lead the situation. And then you know where you can chime in. Because if you're chatting to me about Tom, Dick, and Harry's business, why am I telling you my business? Because you're going to go back to
no,
them and chat me the same
exactly.
way. So, like, absolutely not.
That's
Taking a
smart.
back seat, reading people, and having that emotional intelligence and that discernment to know how to move.
Yeah, I think more people could have emotional intelligence, like a
Hmm.
100%. And I feel like journaling is part of that. Reflection.
Self-awareness.
Yes, self-aware, which is like all about your podcast, honestly. It's just
Hmm.
all self-awareness. So to go over your pop questions, Maya Angelou is your inspiration to silence a
Yes.
room, aka be president one day.
Period.
Two, you are a skinny margarita. Sneak up on you,
Ooh,
bitch. And
okay. We
okay.
outside.
And then your trait is emotional intelligence and sitting back and listening and letting the loud people blabber.
Yep, best part.
So before we get into our favorite things about Black culture, let's talk about your culture. So you're from
Hmm.
Grenada.
Yes.
Yes.
My dad's side of the family is
Yes.
from, my dad came here when he was 16, like he was still in
Okay.
high school at the time. So I'm first generation American on my dad's side. It's a very tiny island. It takes maybe about 30 minutes to drive the entire perimeter. So it's very, very small.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's 5 parishes and, it's a vibe. Like there's a good balance of, I feel, turn up, natural beauty, and
Mm,
like just casual fun, you know.
that's what I love.
One of the safest places in the Caribbean too. It actually just made that list this year.
Oh, okay. Good job.
So we safe out here.
Safe and fun.
Right.
Okay, like what is like the parties like?
Caribbean parties in general, it's like no behavior. Like
Yes.
it's a good time because that's what the music really calls for. It's just you let loose, you go with the vibes, and it's like a little provocative, a little bumping and grinding. We
Yes.
like a little of that, but it's just really vibey.
It's also really close to Venezuela.
So it's really close to Trinidad. It's still considered the West Indies
Okay.
part of the Caribbean. So I wouldn't say that there's like a Latin influence there. It's still very
Interesting.
West Indian Caribbean.
Okay, interesting. Because I was like,
From the
oh,
historical context of like how everything happened, like slave trade from Africa to the Caribbean, there's more like an Indian presence there. Like we call them
mm-hmm.
coolie people. So like there's more like an Indian presence there.
Okay, so I'm covering Guyana next season. And I noticed y'all are
Ooh,
very close to Guyana. And also they have a huge Indian population because after they outlawed
yes,
slavery for Black people, they just brought in Chinese, they just brought in Indian people,
exactly.
continued the behavior.
There's a lot of interbreeding between the two.
Yeah. So I bet the food is freaking fire.
Like
Yeah.
well seasoned.
Yeah.
Well seasoned.
Yes, it's good shit. Okay, so then, but you were born in New York. What part of New York are you from?
I'm a Westchester girl through and through. Born in
Okay.
Valhalla. My mom lived in Yonkers. My dad and my grandmother lived in Mount Vernon. And I've lived in Mount Vernon full time ever since I was like 16. So for the past like 11 years, I've lived here
Okay.
full
Wow.
time.
Yeah. What is Black New York culture like?
It's really diverse because there's just so many different
Hmm.
there's so many different representations of Black culture in New York. New York is really the melting pot. You can have like your classy Black person, your little hood rat, a little bit of ghetto Black person. You can have your Caribbean Black person. You can have your down South Black person. Like it's just such a diverse environment. So it's really hard to capture. But I love that there's so many different influences. And I think we all appreciate each other's Black experience in New York, so to
Mm,
speak, which is
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah. Because I was wondering specifically what's the difference between like a Bronx person versus like Brooklyn?
Slang, how we talk, how we dress.
Okay.
Everyone feels like they're the superior borough. And like I don't really know what the beef is about. Like I don't know why boroughs have beef, but I do know that nobody claims Staten Island, and that's just period. Like it's just not a
Oh,
borough that's recognized. It's actually Jersey.
yeah, you ain't it. It's not it.
Even if you look at it on the map, Staten Island is like literally closer to Jersey. So we
Yeah.
don't really count that. But, I live
Everything.
closest to the Bronx. So I would say that the Bronx is probably the best borough. But,
Okay. 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 I love slang. Can you teach us some slang, like New York slang?
So like when you're ordering breakfast food, like bacon, egg, and cheese is one word. Bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup is one word. Like you have the bodega cat in there. Like it's a vibe.
Is there like different way to say what's up?
Like
Sure.
YERR is like a you're like you're is you're like what's up? Like it's a call. You don't really say, hey, what's up? It's like like and then you have like yeah, no, like yeah, no is no, but like no, yeah is yeah.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's also a thing.
What do you say if you're about to fight someone?
Like square up, like go ahead, go ahead. Really like calm stuff. Like I don't know why we say everything so calm. It's like, so what's up? Like you said what? Oh, bet. Period.
Okay, well, as an immigrant dad, like, what was that like growing up with him? Like, did you feel like you couldn't relate with other kids sometimes because like he had his
Oh
own way of
no.
parenting?
No, I think I was able to get like the best version of both of my parents because they were older in life when they had me. So like my mom was
Mm.
30, my dad was 38. So I didn't have like that struggle parent story. Like they were
Mm.
already like grown and stable and whatnot. And like my dad was very adamant about going back and taking me back to Grenada when I was younger, at least on my dad's side. He had very like I guess American ideologies is what I would call it.
Mm.
Even though he was raised for his teenage years in Grenada when he came here, he didn't fall into certain stigmas. Like he was still able to communicate like his feelings and his thoughts, and it wasn't stay in a child's place. He very much let me express myself and learn how to think for myself and think independently. So those were things that I appreciated that he created that space for, even though that wasn't his environment growing up.
Wow.
He came from the very much stay in a child's place. Like, you don't have an opinion. You do what you're told. We don't say I love you in this household. We don't show
Mm.
emotions or affection. And, that was not how he raised me. Like, it's like he actively chose to do the exact opposite.
Okay, that's interesting because you said the culture is so vibrant, but it seems like in the household, what I guess just going off your family, it's less emotional.
I think that's like a Caribbean like consistent that I've seen a
Oh.
lot. Like because life isn't easy. Like it's a struggle for a lot of people over there, income, wages, quality of life, how you are able to live and provide for yourself. Like it's stressful. And starting off at a disadvantage, understanding the historical context of coming over as slaves and working and trying to get your land and trying to make ends meet. It's a rough culture. But I think something that's really beautiful is being able to find the beauty in it of it all. Because even when you get there and you meet people, people are happy, people are laid back, people are chill and still
Mm.
have like this energy of like it's gonna be okay. But there's still stigmas within the household that have to shift and dynamics that have to change for sure.
That's
And you have to
interesting.
actively choose to do those things. Yeah, and we don't have time to talk about our emotions and dissect how we feel. Like we don't
Mm.
we don't have space for that.
I just found that interesting with your dad, and also just the fact that like when he got here, he was like, "I think I want to try something different with my kid."
Right. And it's based on experience because, like I said, my grandma came up here, I think. So she had left him in Grenada for a while because she came up here first to start working. She started off, as a nanny and then became a nurse. And I think she left when he was around 9. So they spent about 7 years apart before she was able to send for him and bring him up here as well. So yeah, like it runs deep,
Wow, that is
you
so
know?
scary for your grandmother to like leave her kid
hmm
and being
Yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah, to come to New
Oh
York and not know
God.
anyone and to like start from scratch and build and start off taking care of privileged white kids and
Hmm.
wiping their asses and being talked down to putting herself through school and becoming a nurse and doing that for a very long time and being able to create a legacy where I was able to inherit things from my grandmother. Like my apartment that I live in now belonged to my grandmother. And when she passed, I was able to inherit it. So to go from leaving a country and having absolutely nothing to being able to leave a legacy for 2 generations after you, like
Wow.
that's not the norm. That's not many people's story.
No. It just seems like she just was very resilient. She was like, I don't care. I'm gonna push through. Like,
Yeah. And even
incredible.
though she was like a very strong woman, she was again still able to be soft and like again gave me a space to express my emotions. And I wasn't the best kid. Like I was, y'all,
Me too.
I
Me
was
too.
not the easiest kid to deal with. So even her giving me so much patience and so much grace and allowing me to find my own path, go through my own hardships, develop, and always be there to support and pick me up. I will never forget this quick story time. The first time I got drunk, it was so bad. We were drinking in Kevin's car, mind you, in his trunk. We were literally paying crackheads to buy us alcohol. Like
No.
yes, we were paying crackheads outside the liquor store to buy us alcohol, and we'd tell them they can keep the change. We were drinking like Four Locos. I don't even know if people would even know what that is at the time. We were drinking cheap vodka Burnett's,
Yeah.
all this crazy shit in the back of his car. Went to some house party, got fucked up. My boyfriend at the time brought me home, and he's like, "Bring my grandma's buzzer," because like I don't know where my keys are. I don't know where anything is. And she comes and opens the door, and he's just like, everyone calls my grandma grandma. He's like, "Grandma, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know how this happened. Like she was fine 1 minute, and like now she's not. I'm literally like deceased. Like he was literally carried me up the stairs over his shoulder. Like it was so bad." And like I just remember that like she like laid me out on the couch. She gave me like a little bucket, and she like
Oh,
gave me put some water there. And like the next morning, I remember waking up and I opened my eyes and I was like, fuck, like she is going to curse me all the way out. Yeah, I was like mentally preparing myself for the embarrassment. And then, but she didn't say anything.
what?
She was just like, good morning. She was like, I don't think we need to discuss it because I think you learned your lesson.
Oh,
And she just had, like breakfast and everything ready for me, like some Advil and Tylenol. And I was like,
I
so
love
like she let me
her.
make my own mistakes and she gave me the space to learn in a safe environment. And again, my dad was very much the same way and greatly appreciated. And
Wow.
I think that's a big contributing factor as to like why I am the way I am today.
Oh, 100%. I think that's something my mom also gave me a lot of space. And
Hmm.
if I fuck up, that's on me. There's no like
Yeah.
extra punishment or anything. I think that's such a great way to raise a kid. And like, I don't know, you sound like your family's just so good and it just passes down. That's
Good
so
vibes.
beautiful. Shout out to grandma.
I can go first because my number one is food. I love
Okay,
food. And
yes.
I love that our food is so good. It's well seasoned, it's diverse. Our food is resourceful. Again, historical
Mm,
context. We used to be left scraps as, slaves in the South or even in the Caribbean. Like we were left scraps from our masters. And the fact that we were able to take that and make that good shit. Like my favorite
incredible.
joke is oxtail. Like again, they didn't want that part of the cow, like the tail of the cow, and now it's like a fucking delicacy. $11 a pound. And it's like, guys, you didn't want this. What are you doing? Drive the
Right?
prices back down. My grandma used to love chicken liver. That was never my thing, but like
Okay.
chicken feet, pig's feet, like she used to love all of that stuff. And when she made it, it wasn't that bad. It was just me, a mental thing that I just could not.
Well, you grew up in this culture, so you're like, totally,
Yeah,
that's not okay. But if someone told you what
exactly.
bacon was, you probably wouldn't
Right.
eat it.
And in the South, like chitlins, like my granny on my mom's side loved chitlins. And the first time I had it, obviously didn't know what it was. And then like
Yes.
now knowing what it is, it's like ugh, cringe. But again, still tasted good at the end of the day. So
Exactly. I've never had any of that. I've never had any of that food before.
girl,
Like,
come on over. We need to go get some good food.
yes,
I
because
know all
I
the spots.
love to eat. I love to eat.
And you're gonna get drunk too, because we drink a lot too. That's like
Fuck
on my
yeah.
list, but
I'm a
put it
fun
under
good
the food
party.
category.
Oh
Alcohol's a
yeah.
food group.
Is there a drink that y'all drink there? Like probably
Oh
rum.
yeah. Like rum punch, yeah.
Rum punch. Okay.
Every
Absolutely.
island has like their own version of rum because you have like Jamaican rum, which is like
Mm-hmm.
what most people know, Ray and Nephew. But like Grenada, we also have our own rum. My aunties used to ship it up here, like Grenadian rum. It's giving like moonshine vibe because I feel like
Yes.
somebody made it in their bathtub, but like it's the best.
I want it.
It's the best.
Okay, so my first thing, just gonna state the obvious, get it off my chest. I was gonna say this every single episode, but music, sports, America, you just wouldn't have it. Like you just wouldn't have it without like Black people in general. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, we probably would have it, but would it be good? No.
Probably not. No.
We'd have cricket, maybe.
All you would hear is crickets
Yeah.
in the crowd.
Yeah.
No.
Knock all the sports off if you take Black people away.
Mhm.
Music, you don't got jazz, you don't got hip hop, you don't got pop, you don't got country, you don't
That was
got
literally my number. That's literally my number two. So
yeah,
let's just talk about
we can
it.
repeat it again. Like if
Yep.
I mean take every single genre away.
Genre. Yep.
Take it away. I mean, I really think you could probably just have classical music, but if you look back, a lot of the instruments that they have in Europe are from Africa. Like the kora,
Yep.
that's a string instrument that you can hear. I'm gonna go on a whole rant about African instruments. I'm just
Yep.
saying
Africa is the center of life, period. It
it
all starts and
is.
ends.
I love that. I know it really is. If you look back on every trend or tradition in human society,
Hmm.
it can come back to Africa. But like specifically for just seeing like American music, you have to take all of that away. if you take away
Yep.
Black people.
It's so interesting how people don't realize that, because I don't know if you heard Beyonce's new songs that she dropped during the Super
The
Bowl. Like, it has
country
a
one.
country flair to it,
Yeah.
and how much pushback she's gotten already from other country music stations and artists and stations who refuse to play her music because they're like, oh,
Refuse.
we're refused because we're a country network. And it's like, what
Okay.
the
Hold the fuck up. The country that they're making is
Honestly.
not good. So don't you
Exactly.
you're already making pop. You're already crossed the genre. So let her cross the genre. Like that
Right.
going, oh, that pisses me off. They're not making good country, so you don't get to sit there on a high horse.
It's just interesting how the people are not willing to give Black people the credit that they deserve for the influence that they've had in the music industry, even up until this day, like 2024. Like, guys, where are we? Like, come
Oh, but not only
on.
that, like if she's a woman, that's on top of
Right.
it.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, can't do that. Even
Like,
one of the biggest superstars of all time still has to break down barriers. My second one was music, so I'm just gonna piggyback off of what you said.
yeah.
But I want to touch on like the art aspect too, like even in regards to art and fashion, all these other
Oh,
things.
fashion.
There have been so many designers who have had their designs ripped off and taken advantage of and all these other things. Like, I just don't understand up until this point why we have such a hard time giving Black people credit for their creative contributions to society. And really just all contributions, because actually we own this fucking country.
No.
We built this country, we own it. It's just, I don't understand why it's so hard for us to give credit where credit's due. And to the fact where people are still delusional to think that that's not the case. You don't learn about this stuff in a textbook. Again, Black History Month, shortest month of the year. You get 1 month to talk about Black
28
people.
days. What do you think about that? Because what do you think about Black History Month? Like, do you like it?
No, I don't. But I understand why it exists.
Yeah.
I feel like only Americans do this, actually. Everything has a month. You have Women's History Month, and then, Latino American Month, and then Black. Like, I don't know why we have all of these fucking months. I don't understand, but I guess it's good to bring awareness. And if it already exists systemically where people recognize it, all you can do is try and take advantage of it and promote whatever message you need to during that time while you have the attention.
Okay. No, I agree. I guess what cringes me is when people only speak when they're like, 5 Black podcasts you should be listening to, or five music.
Only in February.
You didn't say that last month.
Right.
I like the idea of like take advantage of it, but I think it's a good thing. Just make sure you're not doing things because it's just Latin month or Black History Month.
Because it's trendy. How do we keep these conversations going? And I feel like we have to rely on our people to keep those conversations going. So there are, obviously, America's a melting pot, and there are so many cultures that are represented just through the people that live here. And it's like, as Black people, how do we make this something that we can celebrate all year round? What are proactive conversations that we can have, like this one here, to have those conversations? What are things that we can do to support each other to continue pushing the agenda forward? So I think because we're lower down on the totem pole still systemically, that's just the reality. We have to work twice as hard in order to level up to our counterparts. And that comes with creating supportive communities.
I want to shout out Instagram Black Food Fridays. If you don't follow him, y'all are fucking up, because it's great food. But also, dude, like, he has blown up. He has a PBS show now.
Oh, shoot.
Because he just gives back. It's just supporting Black businesses and just genuine support. And I feel like that's a good example. And just like, having like podcasts about like, just Black girl beauty, or just like, if you can't get support on the outside, just support yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think not calling out, because I think when you call out people, it creates a defense. Ask people questions when they do things out of line. For an example, there was this ancient 90-year-old man that was like my uncle's neighbor, and he always came down to watch football. Now, this man done incredible things in the humanitarian like space for the country of Egypt. I won't go in that whole depth. He's done a lot of good things in his life, but he still has this systemic racism from growing up in the South. And one time we were watching football, one of his players didn't do something he liked, and he starts screaming the N-word. And in front of everyone, in front of his wife, in front of my whole family, I was just like, why did you say that? And I just called him out. Yeah. And then my uncle asked me, he was like, why did you call him out? He's an elder. I'm like, that.
So? Right. Like,
what's more important here? Everyone can always learn. Everyone. And that's what my podcast is all about, is like, it's okay if you're ignorant, but just like grow from it. Long story short, I just feel like if you do find someone being ignorant, maybe just lightly ask them why, and you can find out, and then they'll find out why.
And I think the issue that, and I completely agree with what you're saying, I think the issue that Black people have had with that is feeling this responsibility to always have to educate and explain, because then
Okay.
that also gets tiring too. Like I will never forget. I'll never forget. I transferred high schools because my one of my private high schools closed, and I transferred over. It's a private school, so they have to look at your transcripts and they determine what classes you can get into, AP classes, yada yada, whatever. Predominantly white school. Okay, great. Me and my mom walk into the admissions office. They look at my transcripts, and when I tell you this lady, she was looking at my transcripts and looking at me, and looking at my transcripts and looking at me, and she just looked so confused. And all I remember is my mom saying, "Yes, she's smart and she's Black." And I was just like, but sometimes you have to do the call out. You have to make those uncomfortable conversations. But I think it's for us, it's like finding that balance between, okay,
Yes,
when do I
yeah.
let someone sit in their ignorance? And then when do I inconvenience myself to go and educate?
I like
Because
that.
in her mind, it was such a passive form of racism. Like, not under, yes, this girl has straight A's. She has a 99.9 average. She has a 4.0 GPA. And yes, she's Black. And in her mind, the looks that she was giving may not have even occurred to her as a form of racism until it was
Mm,
called out and projected. And then it was like a kind of check yourself moment. But yeah, art and give Black people credit where credit's due,
love
period.
it. Okay, so this goes to my second one since we're talking about Beyonce. So, yes, Beyonce is a huge symbol for Black women, but I personally have my heart on Solange. She's Beyonce's sister. I don't think she gets enough credit. That
She
woman
doesn't.
is talent, not just talent. She is making such important messages in her music. And
Hmm.
I just think she gets slept on. People just think, oh, she's the girl that hit Jay-Z. I'm like, oh, like she's the girl who creates incredible music.
Shit
And she
goes
hit
down when there's
Jay-Z.
$1 billion in an elevator. I was gonna say families can only have one superstar, and you can't top Beyonce. So I feel like she's had to take, I don't want to call it a backseat, but like a backseat.
But you
Like,
know what? I'll take it because I think what she's doing is so special. Like, if I can cherish it, then I'll cherish it. I just want to specifically shout out her album, A Seat at the Table. Have you listened to it?
I have not.
Oh, that's your homework. I really, really recommend everyone listen to the album. I mean, I'm talking a whole entire album. Like, it's called A Seat at the Table, and it's exactly what the album name is. It's like have a seat at the table as the experience of a Black person, a Black woman. She has a song called Don't Touch My Hair, which I think is a good intro song.
Love it.
Yes. And it's exactly what the song sounds like. And then she also has a song with Matt called Mad with Lil Wayne. And it's about how Black people have the right to be mad, but let love shine. That's the
Mm,
song. It's like you have the right,
I
but
love that.
it's just I don't know any of these experiences, but I think it's the closest I can musically that I can find where I'm like, whoa, I never thought of it like that. And
Right.
that's why it's called A Seat at the Table. And I think it's just magic. And then another artist I want to
Mhm.
shout out, because we're talking about like country, Valerie June. She is from Tennessee. She has dreads and she's fucking
Ooh.
incredible. So I want to shout out her as an artist, just as real bluegrass country music. And she's also really good. But I feel like if your homework for sure is Solange's album first. But if you want to check out like country, Valerie June from Tennessee is my other shout out.
Valerie June.
What's your
Period.
what other like Black musicians or albums do you want to have for homework for people or do you love?
So like I'm so out of touch with music. So like in my car, because like normally you hear new music on the radio and that's how you encounter new music.
Yeah.
But because I listen to like my same playlist over and over again, like I'm a
Oh,
creature of
you're one of
habit. Like,
those.
yeah, so I'm just so out of touch.
Well, what's on your playlist?
What's on my, so like I love Nipsey's album. The last album, was it Marathon? Yeah, I think one of my Victory Lap. Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap is like
Okay, write it
probably
down.
one of my faves that I listen to all the time. Like Double Up, Hustle and Motivate. Like he's very down to earth. He was a very wise person. He gives me, I hate to compare artists, but he gives me very much Tupac vibes, like
Okay.
that lyricist where he's telling a story and he's still encouraging his community. That's why they had to kill Tupac because he was having too much of a good impact
Mm,
on, society, and that's why they had to kill Nipsey. But
oh, they killed him.
yeah, that's just conspiracy. But I feel like that's an album that I listen to like over and over again, Victory Lap. And it also helps, take care of his kids since his passing and things like that. So
Okay.
definitely worth supporting. Well, my number three, because
Okay.
my two is
Three.
music. So I had food
Yeah.
music. Number three is our sayings. I love Black sayings, Caribbean sayings. Like, I feel like there are sayings with just so much wisdom behind them. And I love that. And it's because we come from a storytelling culture. And somebody that reminded me of that was Yelka from Kume House. Shout out to her.
Yes.
She has her journals, and Kume is really like a storytelling, the process of storytelling. So before we had phones and gadgets and everything that we had now, like we as Black people, and I'm sure other cultures too, pass on information through stories. I think from those stories, we have all of these like fun sayings that that are kind of thrown around in our community that just have so much, I think, emphasis on the culture and your understanding of life. And they give like proverb vibes to me.
Mm.
Like one thing my grandma always used to say, like, she's like, if you're not gonna hear, you go feel. If you're not gonna hear, you're going to feel. So if you don't listen, you're going to feel the effects of your actions.
Oh, I love that.
So like that was like something that she used to say all the time. Yeah. And even like the small things, like I don't know if it's like hocus pocus stuff or whatever, but like if you ever get like goosebumps like out of nowhere, like you can just
Yeah.
like get that shiver and you get goosebumps. Like in the Caribbean, that means like someone's walking on your grave. Like
Oh.
I don't know, there's just like all these like little weird things, or I don't know, if you dream of fish, like somebody's pregnant, there's these sayings that kind of just transition through the culture. And I think they're super cool,
I
you
love
know.
that. I just wrote down that if you're not going to hear, you're going to feel, because I love that.
But
Yeah.
you gotta say it. If you're not got ear, you got feel, you
Not going to
know.
hear, you're going to feel. I love that with the accent. Oh my God. Yes. I feel like sayings are definitely, definitely huge. That was like a trend on the last episode I did. It was more Southern
Mhm.
sayings and they were quite different. Like they were really different.
I
It
can
was,
picture it.
it was like if the chicken foot don't got you, then you don't got it. It was like shit like that. Like, I just made that up, but
There was a
um
country one that I heard, and it was something like a tick on a hound dog or something like that. Like, I love you like a tick on a hound dog. And I was like, what?
makes sense.
Movies, Black movies in general. I just love that there are so many iconic movies
Okay, let me
that
write this.
capture the essence of Blackness to the point where it's like, if you say that you haven't watched certain movies as a Black person, like you are judged. Because why have you not watched this movie? And I love that there are just so many like talented actors and actresses,
Yes.
underpaid for the work that they do, absolutely. But they just bring so much life to the screen that it's just like such a thing. So like Baby Boy,
Okay.
all the Friday movies with Ice Cube.
Okay,
Like,
that's what
have you not
Tony
seen
said.
Friday After Next? Like, what? Have you not seen that? You're not Black. Leave your Black card at the door, please. Okay. Every Tyler Perry movie that
Oh,
has ever existed. Just every single one. The more recent ones are kind of like bleh, but like the classic ones, just every Medea movie, Medea's Family Reunion. What's the one where the black dude was beating on her? That's probably every movie too, but every single Tyler Perry movie. Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood,
okay.
Poetic Justice, like pure classics.
Okay,
Again, if you
yes.
haven't seen them, you're judged. So I love our movies because it's definitely a symbol, a true symbol to our culture. Again, because if you haven't watched them, leave your black card at the door. You're not welcomed here.
The fourth one for me is more serious, but it's really, really important. I just want to give a shout out and just major respect for any Black men or women that fought in this country's wars and then still came home to no rights and no justice.
Yeah.
And that's like from the Revolutionary War, the Mexican American War, the World Wars, Vietnam, like currently, like just the fact that you were probably forced, but you fought for a country that doesn't give a fuck about you. Like, I don't even understand that. That's just so much. The level of respect is high.
Fun fact, and like controversial or not, I'm very anti-Black people serving in the military.
Yeah.
Like, that's something I've always been, because why are you fighting for a country that doesn't fuck with you?
Yeah.
A country that oppresses you. What are we doing? Like, and don't get me wrong, I understand that for some people it's an escape from their environment, hence why these recruiters and whatnot, they prey on low-income communities. They take these kids right out of high school before they even know any better. They entice them with sign-on bonuses. It's definitely a trap and a ploy. They use them up for their 4 to 8 years, or they do their 20 years, and then they come back not knowing how to address the society, not having any resources, some of them not finishing their education, all this mental health issues that they don't get support with. But yeah, very anti-Black people being in the military. So salute to y'all who do it. Couldn't be me.
Yeah. I have major respect though, especially like back in the day. Like I'm just thinking about the Revolutionary
Absolutely.
War. Like they were fucked on either side because they had the Americans who were going to keep you enslaved or the British who were just going to keep you enslaved. So it's
Keep you
like,
enslaved. Yeah.
yeah. So like that's a more serious one, but I really, really wanted to say that. Okay, your last one.
Mhm.
What's your last? If you have another one.
My last one is a little bit of what we talked about earlier. There's the diversity of Black culture. I think
Mm,
being Black is so dynamic and there's so many different types of Black, from ethnicity and physical attributes to the history and like the cultural roots behind our backgrounds. Like being Black is truly an honor because of the diversity. There's just so many different types of Black. And I know for some people it's like an underrated thing, and there are definitely negatives that come along with that, in regards to like comparison of skin tones and hair types and all
mm.
these different things. But I think if we look at it from a positive perspective, there's just so much diversity, which makes us just so dynamic, so interesting. And no other race, I think, is as dynamic as Black people.
That's what this whole series is. I want the series to capture like every kind of perspective. So I
Yeah.
totally, totally agree. And okay, this my last question kind of goes towards this, but what is your favorite thing personally about being Black or Black Caribbean or Black woman?
My favorite thing about being a Black woman in general is just defying the odds, I feel, and proving people wrong. I feel like being a Black woman honestly feels like you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Like being Black is one thing and being a woman is another thing, but being
Mm.
both is like, damn, girl, odds are not stacked in your favor. And it's so sad, but you have to laugh at it because, like, bruh,
It's
it's
you don't
it's
want to think about it too
stressful.
hard.
Yeah, but I mean, being able to like really push through and defy the odds, at least for myself, and being able to have the privilege of going to private schools and being in rooms with certain people and graduating university and starting my business and being in rooms with people that I never thought I would be able to be in a room with, and just continuing to defy the odds with the power to circle back and bring people back up with me. So I
Mm.
think that's my favorite thing about being a Black woman.
I love that. Do you think you have to push harder in certain aspects?
Absolutely, every single aspect. I can't be average. It's
Mm.
funny because that's something I'm working through in therapy, is like my concept of perfectionism and something I'm trying to let go of. But it's so hard because throughout my entire life, I've always had to be 10 times better than everybody else to be seen as equal. So, it's not like, oh, like getting a 90 on a test is great. Like, well, no, why didn't you get 100? It's like you always have to be 10 steps ahead of the people around you just to be on a relatively level playing field to command somewhat of the same respect. So
That's
it's a battle, it's an
exhausting.
uphill journey. It is exhausting. So even like mentally going over that perfectionism and being able to like disassociate like my past and where I've been and where I'm trying to go, and working on that, like, and separating my personal and professional life as well, has
Wow.
also been part of my therapy journey.
Yes, I feel like a lot of other Black women, or just a lot of like minority women, will absolutely relate with that. I do want to talk about your podcast, or not just podcast, like
Ooh.
Silken. So,
Yeah.
okay, because those are two different topics, but your skincare brand, what got you into skincare, and like, why do you find your brand so special?
Yeah, Silken is like my baby, Silken was birthed from me going through a very hard time. I actually lost my dad in 2019, and that basically triggered me to spiral. And I ended up quitting my job. I was in forensics, left my job, stopped going to med school, and just really went on the sabbatical and started traveling, and took 6 months to travel. That was the end of 2019. I thought it was going to be a 6 month travel, then COVID hit, couldn't have planned for that. And then I just had more time to really just flesh out my ideas and my businesses. But through whatever I was going through, skincare was always something that kept me grounded, that kept me accountable, and that gave me some type of ritual to look forward to that I could see results from. Like
Mm,
from some people, it's like going to the gym and seeing, okay, I lost some weight this week or I'm gaining muscle. For me, I was so stressed to the point where I was breaking out. And then I was able to use skincare to kind of not just boost my confidence, but wheel me back to self-care and give me something consistently that I can do. And
yeah.
then while I was traveling, I also learned that my skin started behaving differently in different environments. So versus when I was in Arizona where it was dry, or in the Caribbean where it was humid, or Europe where it was cold, my skin was behaving differently. So I took my pre-med background and really dove deep into, why does your skin act differently in different environments? And I think that's what Silken is really about. Silken is an anti-pollution skincare brand. So we're really catered to urban dwellers and helping the skin of people who live in high density populations combat environmental aggressors. And just through my personal experience, I don't think I would have ever taken the leap to start that brand if I didn't suffer the traumatic loss that I did. So it was kind of, I don't want to say a blessing in disguise, but definitely an impetus to drive me down that path. But it's something that's so special. There's been so much work that's gone into it. It's not like a kitchen skincare brand that was whipped together. We've been working with dermatologists and chemists and labs. And right now we're securing funding to make sure that everything's in line for our launch later this year. So that brand is literally like my blood, sweat, and tears. Like, and I'm just so excited that we're approaching our launch.
Oh, yes. And the freaking new brand is so good.
Oh,
It's
it's a vibe. I literally
so
have a
good.
call. I literally have a call with my Silken team after this recording.
That's actually what turned me on to like go like buy your product because when you said the whole anti-pollutant thing, because I am a full-time traveler, like airports,
Hmm.
trains, buses, like every freaking
Yeah.
fume is in my face. And so I always use it like when I get to a place, like I immediately put it on my face.
Yay. I
And I
love
feel
it.
so much better. Like I really, really just believe in what you're doing. And I also just like hearing the story behind that. It just makes it so much more deeper.
Thank you.
And
And if you love that formulation, you'll love the reformulation because, girl, we're only going up from here.
yes.
We're only getting better from here.
Exactly, exactly. And then I do want to talk about Behind the Silk because I help you produce it, and I think it's just I don't know. I could say a lot. I'll say a lot after you say a lot. But why do you love your podcast, and what have you like? What's been some of your favorite things you learned from your podcast?
Yeah, so behind this, it was really a way for me to continue the conversation, right? Silken is very external, it's skincare, it's face forward, but I wanted to talk about self-care from a holistic perspective. And it was just the perfect avenue to do so. And I've learned so much. I've talked to so many interesting people and learning that we're all kind of going through the same thing just in a different way. Like we're all just trying to keep our heads above water at the end of the day. So being able to explore different self-care practices, being able to help people be intentional about prioritizing themselves, learning how to set boundaries and
Hmm.
prioritize certain relationships and all of these things. I've been able to have conversations with such amazing people who have shed so much light, even on my self-care journey, because like it's not just about me. It's also a space for people to just a safe space for people to discuss the things that we're going through as well. And I think that's why our community has been as close-knit as it is. And I'm really excited about that. The sound healing episode that we did
I love that
was
one. I love that
so
one.
vibey. So not only did you edit the fuck out of it, like it's so freaking good. Like I still listen back to it because I'm like, damn, we bodied this episode. But
No,
like
for real.
like it was bodied. But like there was just so many things that I didn't know about frequency. Like even when we were talking about the music that we listen to, understanding that the music that we listen to also carries energies. So if you're already kind of having an off day and you're listening to all this aggressive, harsh, maybe
Hmm.
super vulgar music, it's going to affect your brain waves and how you process information. So just being sensitive to the content that we consume in the form of sound. And it was just something I had never thought about that in depth. So, and then learning about sound frequencies that restore and that heal and that bring balance. Like there's two sides to the coin. So that was a mind-blowing episode for me that I love to refer people back to. Like when people are like, ooh, like what episode should I listen to first? Sound healing.
Oh,
The sound healing
I send
episode.
people to that too because
Hmm.
I think it represents like the style that we have. It's a very I think your podcast is an experience. It's not just like an interview. And that
No.
one, you really get into the sound healing and oh, I'm very sensitive to sound. So everything she was talking about was just reaffirming to the point where like certain music can genuinely agitate me because I think it's like
Yeah.
something's happening to my cells.
It's
So
throwing you off. Yeah.
no, yeah. So I'm very sensitive to music. So I think that's a really good episode for people to start on. I personally love working on the project because I feel like I get to have like my creative freedom and just have fun. Like I feel
Yeah.
like just be like an editor, you know?
And that's what I want you to do. I don't want to micromanage. I feel like you
Yeah.
get the vision. That's why we meshed from the beginning after I stalked
Hmm.
you to like work on this
Stop me.
podcast. And like, you're just killing it all across the board.
I legit thought you were like, okay, because there's so much scammers on Upwork.
Yeah.
So when you got my number, I was like, oh my fuck. I was like, how'd
Yeah,
you
like I
get it?
went deep dive looking for you. Like I went like forensic-y, like, let me find this girl. Like,
No, but I legit thought you were a scammer. I was like, oh, here we go. And when I like
yeah.
met you, I was like, this is like I really, really, really believe like when you set boundaries, you attract the right people. And I learned that a lot in my
Yeah.
business, that you attract the right people. And like you as a client have just been like transformative, I will just say. So
Oh, stop
yeah,
it.
no,
And
for
I
real.
love working with you. I said that in my testimonial earlier, but like I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Like you are just so badass. You are so talented at what you do. And I just know that so many amazing things are in store for you that this is only the beginning. And I just can't wait to like watch you grow. Like
Oh my God.
I cannot wait to watch your journey as well.
Dude, thank you. My God. Fuck. My last question. This is what I'm so excited to hear about. Okay, what is your
Mhm.
Black or Caribbean self-care secret you're either holding out on us, or what's just a Black girl only beauty secret?
Okay, so like self-care secret, sunlight. Black people, we thrive in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like it's literally your source of energy. Like that's why seasonal depression is a thing. That's why vitamin D deficiency is a thing. Like there's just something about being in the sun that is refreshing, recharging. Not only does it make your skin look good, but it's like a mental reset. It's like your body's just getting all the good vibes, all the good energy, and you feel full, like you feel
Mm-hmm.
refilled. So, sunlight, top tier self-care secret. I was actually vitamin D deficient for a while and didn't know it. And like I was really struggling during my winter time with just different things like sleep, anxiety, um, just like there was a whole bunch of things that was off with me until I went and got a blood panel done. And my doctor was like, "Yeah, like, do you know that you're vitamin D deficient and that could be the cause of a lot of things that you're going through?" And I was like, "Wow, thank you for telling me." I don't know. Like, and my doctor, she's a Black woman, so I was like, "Wow, like great." That was super important because obviously in New York, especially, it's cold. We don't have sunlight or sun. The sun is just for decor, actually, in New York. The sun gives off no heat. It's literally decoration. So,
Oh Lord.
getting getting your sunlight and make sure that you're taking your vitamins. So I'll just say vitamins in general because we were created to be as Black women very balanced creatures. We were the originators of life. Again, if we're bringing it back to our African heritage and
Mm.
African days, we are literally one with the earth. So whether you're getting all of your vitamins and nutrients from, like supplements or through your food by eating a very plant-based, vegan, whatever lifestyle, holistic lifestyle, make sure that you are taking your vitamins to maintain your balance. And I think you'll see other things in your life change because the things that we consume also consume us. So if
Mm.
we're putting good things in and we are balanced internally, good things will come out and we'll see it manifest in our lives.
I thought you were gonna say some lotion or something.
Was that too deep? Like,
No, that was honestly moving. I legit thought you were gonna like recommend a brand of something. Like that was
oh
super
no. Well, I mean,
beautiful.
Silken is for the Black girlies, so make sure
Yes.
you're signed up to our launch list.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Where can people find you? How do you want to direct people back to you? Because if y'all are not into Ericka right now, get the fuck off the podcast. How do you not like want this energy around you?
Yeah, so the podcast Behind the Silk is at Behind the Silk Pod on all social media platforms. If you're interested in signing up to the Silken wait list, again, we will be launching this year. We're in the middle of raising funds, which is it's just a crazy process. I can't believe that we're even here at this point. It's been like 3 years in the making. So you can go to silkenco, SILKENNCO.com and sign up to the wait list. And if you enjoyed me and you want to keep up with me,
Yes.
because we can be friends, you can follow me on all social media platforms at the Ericka Nicole. Ericka is spelled ERICKA because I'm extra special.
I loved this episode, y'all. Just getting to like hang out with Ericka and actually learning a lot of perspectives I didn't think about. Like when she said how it's not the responsibility of Black people to correct other people's ignorance. I've never thought of that before. I actually was being ignorant. I just didn't know. I never thought about that because that's not from my own perspective. And that really opened my eyes. I also loved learning about her grandmother who fought her way from the Caribbean to New York and made herself a career, raised a beautiful family, and left generational wealth. Like that is so impressive. And you can see that resilience. You can see that go-getter mentality in Ericka, and you can tell that's from her dad and from her grandmother. So that was just a really, really beautiful episode. And remember your homework. If you want some good country, check out Valerie June from Tennessee. Oh my God, that's some really good bluegrass country for y'all. Then check out Solange's album, A Seat at the Table, and Ericka's recommendation, Nipsey Hussle's albums. And last but not least, check out all the Black movies that Ericka mentioned. And apparently, if you're Black and you're listening to this and you haven't seen those movies, you got to leave your Black card at the door. Sorry, not my words. She said that. I'm just kidding, y'all. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, remember your homework. go listen to those artists, go watch those movies, and check out our amazing podcast that we produced together, Behind the Silk. Cheers, y'all.
When you start comparing yourself to other people, you start playing this mental game where it's no longer you against you, it's you against the rest of the world. Yeah. Hey, beautiful people. This is the Behind the Silk podcast, where we have real thought-provoking conversations exploring the relationship between beauty, self-care, and wellness. We are going more than skin deep as we navigate what it looks like to show up as the best version of yourself, on the good days, the bad days, and everything in between. Come along as we celebrate the season of life we're in and learn some valuable insights along the way, with stories that inspire, motivate, heal, and entertain. We're talking about it all. Tune in weekly for new episodes available on all podcast platforms. I'm a hydro hottie.
Period. Okay. A hydro hottie.
Yes.
Wow, the aunties are rolling. The aunties are clapping. A hydrating rolling hottie. Okay. Wow.